You're listening to Mission Audio's production of The Way They Learn, How to Discover and Teach to Your Child's Strengths by Cynthia Ulrich Tobias. This book is read by Anne M. Richardson. This audio recording was produced in 2017 by Mission Audio, which owns the copyright. No portion of this recording may be reproduced for any reason without prior written consent from Mission Audio. This edition is issued by contractual arrangement with permission of Focus on the Family, represented by Tyndale House Publishers. Originally published in English as The Way They Learn. Copyright 1998 by Cynthia Ulrich Tobias. All rights reserved. Please visit booksinaudio.com to offer your impressions of this work and to explore additional titles. Dedication. To my parents, Robert and Minnie Ulrich, who have always believed the best of me, my husband John, who is my staunchest supporter, and my twin sons Michael and Robert, who daily remind me that there are truly no two alike. Chapter 1. What is a learning style? Here comes the first one. The atmosphere in the delivery room was charged with excitement and anticipation. It was a planned C-section, so I was fully awake to witness the arrival of our two sons that April afternoon. The doctor held up a tiny red baby and whispered, "He's beautiful." 2 minutes later, the doctor held up another baby. "He looks just like the first one," a nurse cried. I recognized them both immediately. On arrival, each boy already seemed to exhibit many of the same behaviors he had demonstrated during the last several months in the womb. The boys and I had started the process of getting to know one another almost from conception, and now I was amazed to see how different these two identical babies were from each other. While it will take years to become familiar with each boy's complex nature, their differences were evident from the very beginning. Friends and acquaintances gazing at the redheads often ask, "How do you tell them apart?" My standard reply, "Just watch them for a minute. You'll know." If you listen to the way they speak to each other and to you, if you watch the way they interact with people and situations, you will have little doubt that these boys who share the same birthday are very much individuals. When they were still very small, a favorite toy for the twins was a small workbench with hammer and pegs. Robert, our go-for-the-gusto son, took great pleasure in vigorously pounding the pegs. Michael, more analytic by nature, was fascinated by the fact that in the middle of the workbench was a hole just the right size for storing the hammer. If you are a parent with more than one child, you've already discovered that even children growing up in very similar circumstances and environments can have drastically dissimilar approaches to life. You begin to realize that people are fundamentally different. The individual bents that cause each person to be unique often bring an overwhelming challenge to parents. It is not enough to simply decide how children should be reared and then apply the same techniques to each child. Parents need to get to know their children, and no two will be the same. Often, with the very best of intentions, we set out to chart the course and plan the events of our children's lives according to what makes sense to us, the way we did it. After all, we are living proof of what works. But what seldom occurs to us is that other people, perhaps even those in our own family, may view the world in an entirely different way than we do. It therefore stands to reason that when we try to teach or communicate with our children and others, they are not all going to benefit from the same approach. If you're like many busy parents, you may become frustrated when you try to help your child follow directions, do homework, or review for a test. You may be convinced that your child simply isn't trying hard enough. The fact is, each of our children perceives the world differently from the way we do. Each child is a unique individual with his or her own natural strengths and preferences. These individual gifts, or bents, are called learning styles. Although we accept and even cherish each child's uniqueness, it's often difficult to work with the combined variations of all our children when we're also
Sample complete. Ready to continue?